Okay, boxing fans, this is bullshit in boxing. We're talking about Billy Joe Saunders being overlooked for the WBO middleweight title in favour of Demetrius Andrade. And what we're talking about is the number 2 ranked by the WBO, Billy Joe Saunders, in favour of Demetrius Andrade, not ranked at middleweight. We're going to talk about if this should happen, whose fault it is, and that's about it really. But Paul, I'm going to bring you in first. Korobov is ranked number 1, Billy Joe Saunders is ranked number 2, and Demetrius Andrade is ranked as champion at a different weight class. Should Billy Joe Saunders and Korobov be fighting?
Yeah, in my opinion, they should be, to be honest, because I think if the title's vacant, it should always be the highest ranked guys who are available who should be fighting for it. And Korobov and Billy Joe are both available, and they're both the highest ranked. You know, Andrade, you know, I wouldn't say he hasn't got a leg to stand on when he wants to fight for the title, because he is a WBO champion in the weight class directly below middleweight. But no, I really think Billy Joe should have got the nod over Andrade, to be perfectly honest. I really would have. I'm a Billy Joe fan, so maybe I'm being biased, but I would have really liked to have seen Saunders get the title fight.
That's right. I would have actually thought he should have got the title fight too. Next question I've got for you, Paul, is Andrade put in a petition to the WBO to try and fight for the £160 title, and it was accepted. What do you think his argument was in that petition?
Basically that I'm the WBO champion at a weight class directly below middleweight. I can move up in weight very, very easily. And that's it, basically. I was going to say he's very highly ranked by the WBO, but he's not, because he's the champion, which is better than being highly ranked. So, again, I wouldn't say that it's absolute, a joke that he's getting the title fight, because we've seen a lot more undeserving fighters get title fights instead of Andrade. But because at the end of the day, Andrade, he is a WBO champion, so he clearly is in the WBO's good books. He's at a weight class directly below this, so he could easily move up. Yeah, I could definitely see, and he's not got a fight at the minute and can't get any good fights at 154. So I can see why he wants to move up and fancies his chances of getting a second belt in a second division. But again, I really think Billy Joe Saunders should have been the one who got the title fight, because he's been fighting eliminators. He's been settled at the weight for a long time. He's been climbing the rankings like a fighter should. I really think the WBO should have thrown him the bone.
That's right. Andrade, when we were talking to his dad, he was basically talking about boxing politics to us, and he said a lot of things, but one of the things he was saying that no good fighters want to fight him, or boxing politics is against him, stuff like that. Paraphrasing, obviously. But Andrade moving up and just walking straight into a world title fight, is he now unable to moan about shit because he is now part of the problem?
Yeah, I definitely think you could say that, to be perfectly honest. Boxing politics, I'm sure there's loads of fighters who feel hard done by, and they'll be the first to moan about it. But at the end of the day, if you get the rub of the green, if boxing politics benefits you, then at the end you can't moan about it when things don't go your way, because it's not like Andrade has been a fighter who's been dying to get title fights for ages, and he's just not been able to get a look in, and everyone's just ran away from him. It's nothing like that, perfectly honest. He just wants big paydays. It's not like he wants a title fight. It's not like he needs a big break. He just wants a fight that will pay him a lot of money and get him a lot of attention. And he's obviously not getting that at 154. And he's had a moan saying, "Oh, it's just because of politics. It's because the guys don't want to fight me." So if he moves up to 160 now, and then stays at 160 and says, "Now I can't get any big fights at this weight division either," then he won't be able to moan about boxing politics again, because boxing politics worked in his favour.
Yeah. Why do you think the WBO has accepted this petition?
Again, just going back on what I said, Andrade is clearly in the WBO's good books. He's got a championship with them. He's told them that he can make the weight. He's more well known than Billy Joe Saunders, I'd say. At least in America, he is, which is where this fight will likely be. To be perfectly honest, they'll probably does Andrade fight on Showtime or
No.
HBO?
HBO.
HBO. Well, that's what I mean. This fight will probably be on HBO on some undercard somewhere. The WBO will probably get more money by having Andrade in the fight. Not because Andrade is like this big draw or anything, but likely because he'll just be on a bigger card, a bigger name card. So I can see why they've done it. To be honest, like I said, it's not an absolutely grossly ridiculous decision. It's not like they've just stuck a pin in a book and picked the first guy's name they found. Andrade is a WBO champion at junior middleweight. He can move up to middleweight easily. They probably looked at it and thought, you know what, let's give him the opportunity, because if we do, we'll see our title won on a big card. We'll get some more money. A guy who not everyone knows, but a lot of people know will get the belt. Whereas if Billy Joe Saunders gets it, he's just going to defend it in the copper box, isn't he, in England, and it'll just be a bit of a forgotten title.
That's right.
At least that's what the WBO will think anyway. I don't think it would be that, but the WBO would look at it like that. They just look at it as one of their belts going to this country. This champion will just defend it in that country forever. Won't make them any money. They'd rather see the title defended on big fights cards in America.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go at you from another angle now. Okay. Do you think it's possible? Just figure this one out. That Billy Joe Saunders may have turned down a fight with Korobov, and that is why they're looking for another opponent.
I don't believe so. Definitely not. I don't think that's the case. I think Saunders would snap your hand off if he was offered a title fight. He's a proud guy. He's been working his way up the rankings. He's Commonwealth, British, European champion. He's someone who's got a lot of ambition, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, and if you would have offered him the WBO title fight, I think he'd have took it right then and there. To be honest, he's been saying on Twitter, didn't he tweet the WBO directly saying, just like give me a ring or something like that? He was only joking, but he was being serious as well. No, I definitely believe Saunders wanted this title fight. I don't believe the WBO maybe rang him up and he went, oh, you know what? No, I don't fancy this. I don't believe that at all. I just think they've looked at it and they've gone with Andrade, unfortunately for Billy Joe.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's not any official rumours running around that Billy Joe Saunders turned down the fight, but what I'm just saying is maybe that could be a possible angle we could look at it, but like I said, I don't personally believe that and you don't believe that. We'll check out if Rory believes that later. But which fight do you think is the better fight for boxing? Billy Joe Saunders versus Korobov, or Billy Joe Saunders Korobov versus Andrade? Paul?
I'm not sure, to be perfectly honest. It's hard to answer because I'm a Billy Joe Saunders fan, and if Billy Joe Saunders would have went over and won the title, then that means he would have brought the title back to Britain, and you'd see some more world title fights in Britain, which is what I'd like to see, because I'm British. I'm a British boxing fan. But again, going back to what I said, if Andrade wins this title fight, then he's going to keep the belt in America. He'll probably make some high-profile defences on a few, big-name HBO cards, which will make the title sort of well-known, because this does happen. It's sometimes when not very well-known fighters win world titles in certain divisions. Those world titles just become forgotten, sort of thing. It just becomes, that world title that's held by that guy in so-and-so country. That guy who no one wants to fight, he just sits in his own country defending it. Like Felix Sturm did in Germany, stuff like that. That's just one example I can think off the top of my head. Just where a belt is just stuck in a certain place, no one can be bothered going over there to challenge for it, and everyone just forgets about it. And I'm not saying that would have happened with Billy Joe Saunders, but maybe that's what the WBO think would have happened. Mm-hmm. And there's an argument for both.
Yeah.
For me, British boxing fan, I'll just finish this up now. I know. For me, British boxing fan, I'd have liked Saunders. From a broader scope, probably it's better Andrade's keeping it in America.
Okay. Last question: is there a silver lining for Billy Joe Saunders? Is there a poisoned chalice for Andrade?
Billy Joe Saunders, the silver lining is at least he's probably going to get to smash Chris Eubank's face in now. That fight's surely going to be made now, surely. Because Frank Warren needs some big fights to put on the Fury-Chisora bill. Billy Joe Saunders and Eubank is one of them. He's going to, he's definitely going to say to Saunders now, okay, we didn't get the title fight, but we can still get you in a fight that's worth something. We'll still get you in a fight that the fans will watch and will care about. So, and we all know that he's dying to batter Chris Eubank Jr. It's not like he's just going to be put in a fight that he doesn't care about. That's the silver lining for him. At least he gets to scratch an itch, sort of thing. And with Andrade, I was speaking a minute ago like it was a sure thing that he'd win the title, and I don't mean to be like that, but maybe he's too small for the weight. I don't know. Maybe Kobarov is something he's not used to. I've not seen much of Kobarov, to be perfectly honest, but it's definitely not a sure thing it's definitely a gamble for Andrade to just move up. How old is he? He's not very old, is he?
No, I think he's only like 27, I'm not sure. Let me just check.
I'm thinking it in the case of, is he very young and he's not filled out yet? That's
he's
what
26, he's 26, same age as what's his face?
As Billy Joe?
Well, Billy Joe's a year younger.
Oh. Well, I asked that because I wasn't sure if Andrade was like only 22, 23, and whether he was still going to fill out into the weight yet. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, Andrade is definitely going to be at a disadvantage moving up to middleweight because Kobarov's settled at the weight. He's the taller guy, I think. So Andrade would have a hard night's work winning the title. I personally think that he would win it, but it's not a sure thing. So maybe he's got a risk. And as I said, for Billy Joe, at least he'll get a good domestic payday.
Mm-hmm. I suppose, yeah. We'll just leave you there for a bit and we'll bring in Rory.
Hey, buddy.
Yo, buddy. So, I'm going to start with Korobov is ranked number 1, Billy Joe Saunders is ranked number 2. In your opinion, should they be fighting for the vacant title?
Yeah, definitely. I think people earn the title shots, or should earn the title shots, It should be setting an example that you earn what you get what you earn. And that should be the way boxing's run. Obviously, I'm not naive enough to think that it was run like that in all cases. And there's always sort of exceptions to the rule, but yeah, Billy Joe Saunders will have earned his title shot at this weight, whereas I think Andrade, although he's done great at the weight class below, hasn't earned a title shot at this weight.
That's right. I mean, in reality, in the year 2014 going into 15, the world rankings and especially the WBO rankings, each sanctioned body's rankings don't mean shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Really. They just, a fighter can get elevated into the top 15 just so they can sanction a famous fight. That's what they were going to try and do with Salka before, what's his name, Bell and Terry Atlas exposed it on national television. So, Andrade put in a petition for this fight. What do you reckon that his argument was? Can I have the title shot, please?
Well, the thing is, whether or not he's kind of asked for it, and obviously he has, but I mean, I would to an extent argue that I don't think he would have had to have forced their hand all that much. I think the WBO would have gone, if Andrade makes even sort of so much as a squeak about wanting to do this, then we'll have no problem doing it because it makes the best business sense for them.
Yeah, I suppose so. Why do you think the WBO accepted then? I think you've covered it really, but
yeah, I mean,
just business.
It's business. Boxing is business, and money talks, as they say. I think you've already touched upon it with Paul. I think having Andrade fight a guy that, let's be honest, no one really knows much about Korobov. It's going to be a much easier sell to boxing fans, especially in the US, and more of a money generator to sell that fight. And although I hate to be dismissive of Korobov, I'd say Andrade, even though he'd be moving up a weight, would be the favourite in that fight. So and it's not always the case, but if he was then to win the title, having Andrade as your favourite out of the 3 options is going to be much more viable and much more profitable for the WBO.
That's
you know,
right.
if Korobov wins the title, brilliant, good on him. But the WBO aren't going to get much out of that, especially if he then defends it in his own country and doesn't really bring it to the US again. Same with Billy Joe Saunders to an extent. Andrade, like you said, he can not necessarily headline, but can be on some decent big bills in the US on an undercard. And that's going to generate, out of the three options, that's going to generate the WBO the most money.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's persuaded him.
There's also a lot of good dance partners out there for Andrade at £160. A lot of things some people didn't talk about, but we'll come. I'm going to try and force you into that later on.
Okay.
So do you think it's possible that Billy Joe Saunders turned down a fight with Korobov, or do you think I'm just talking nonsense?
Yeah, I mean, the way that Billy Joe Saunders comes across, if it was something that he turned down, it wouldn't have been. I'd guarantee it wouldn't have been his decision. It might have been a business decision from someone else, but he's the kind of guy. Put him in the ring, anyone, anytime, he'll fight him. And if it's a world title, it's what he's been. It's what all boxers sort of trained to have is a world title shot. He'll have, as Paul said, he'll have snapped someone's hand off for that.
That's right.
Especially against the likes of Korobov as well. Again, I hate to belittle him, but let's be honest, he's going to be the lesser known guy and the lesser, or the, I say it in inverted commas, the easier route for Billy Joe to win the title at that weight.
That will be the case, I think, yeah. I'm just going to touch on a few things about Billy Joe, if people don't know much about him. Jared Fletcher, who recently fought, what was the guy's name?
He fought Martin. No, he was going to fight Martin Murray, wasn't he?
But he fought, what's his name instead, didn't he? The guy who survived cancer. What's his name?
Danny Jacobs.
Danny Jacobs, the guy who survived cancer. Yeah. Jared Fletcher, he knocked him out in 2. How many did what's his face take? 6 or 7 rounds? Moved on. And he took his O. He took him his undefeated record. Moved up. No, he didn't. He went on in his career. Fought Spike O'Sullivan when people said he wouldn't. What happened? Took his O. There's 2 O's he's got. People said he wouldn't fight John Ryder. Didn't they? Can you all remember people saying he won't fight John Ryder? What did he do? He took his O. There's 3 O's he's taken. He goes away for a bit because he broke his hand fighting John Ryder. Still fought on with it. And what happened? Came back against an undefeated guy for the European title. Took his O as well. Knocked him out with a great knock. Well, I'd say it was a great shot, but the referee wasn't very good in that fight. He let that go on a little bit too long. But so he's took 4 O's in 2 years. That's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't really argue with that, He's certainly not fighting cans.
Exactly.
Alright, they're not going to be the likes of Demetrius Andrade level, if you want to sort of talk levels, but he's only done above and beyond what a lot of fighters wouldn't do as well.
Exactly.
Many fighters wouldn't take a fight like John Ryder.
If you look at what's his name, Korobov, he's probably got a better record on paper today than Korobov has.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, really, but we'll move on from that one, as I assume you disagree that Billy Joe Saunders turned down the Korobov fight, which, like I said, there's no evidence for. I'm just bringing it out, throwing it out.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think if it was something that team had turned down, it wouldn't have been from the lips of Billy Joe Saunders.
That's right. So what do you reckon is the better fight? Korobov versus Billy Joe or Korobov versus Andrade?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I think out of the 3, Andrade is the best fighter, but I think that's what makes having Andrade in that fight a worse fight. I think Korobov, Billy Joe Saunders would be a real test for both men. I don't necessarily think it'd be a 50-50 fight. I think Billy Joe Saunders, even though he's only ranked number 2 compared to Korobov number 1, I think probably would be the favourite. Like Paul said, I'm biased, I'd want a decent fight like that, a world title fight in Britain. But I think, because it'd be a closer fight, it will make it a better fight.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd rather see those 2 fight than Andrade.
Okay.
Just pick apart someone.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with both of you right now, because you both said that. I actually think the better fight is Andrade versus Korobov, just because of the skill level of Andrade being higher at this point, I think, than Billy Joe Saunders. But I mean, that would still be a good fight, and maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I can see that one as the better fight. I just disagree with you guys, but we'll move on. Last question: is there a silver lining for Billy Joe Saunders? And think about this. Is there a poison chalice there for Andrade? Think about the second one more.
I mean, in terms of, going to the first one, I think, like Paul's touched upon, the fact that Billy Joe Saunders can now settle this feud or score or whatever it is with Chris Eubank Jr. is a bit of a silver lining. However, what I'd argue with that is, I think that fight would have been 10 times better if there was a world title on the line. Which in essence Billy Joe Saunders could have brought to the table if he wasn't overlooked for this fight.
Yeah.
Poison challenge for Andrade is he's taking a fight against a guy that no one really knows much about. Even if Andrade wins a title, who's he going to then fight? He's got Gennady Golovkin, because everyone wants to fight him. You know what I mean?
That's one of the poison challenges. You're the same network as Gennady Golovkin. You just moved into his division. You've really got to fight him with it.
Exactly. So it's like, if you want to step up and you want to be Billy Big Bellows and say, well, I deserve a title, even though I'm not fought of this weight division. All right, fine. You go and win that title shot against Korobov. Don't mention it. So here's your list of opponents. Sam Solomon. All right, you can have that. Why not have that fight? Brilliant, whatever. At a later date. There's going to be a time when Triple G is knocking on your door and going, I want a unification fight. You owe me a unification fight. I'm going to absolutely destroy you. At that point, I imagine he'd probably go, it's alright, I'll vacate. Or coincidentally, he'll go, no, I need to step back down again. Because no one wants to fight Triple G. Don't care who you are, what you say. I don't think Klitschko wants to fight Triple G, to be honest. And you just kind of say, forget it. So, what, he's going to do it for 1, 2, 3 fights at middleweight? Well, what's the point? It
might literally be one before he gets called out, and then people are like, he's ducking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could be. I mean, everyone throws the ducking out there quickly, but if Andrade moves up, and let's be honest, he's fighting for another vacant title, because the first title he picked up was vacant. The one he fought against Vanis Martirosyan for was vacant. He's moved up again, right? He's moved up in weight, and he's fighting for another vacant title. I'm going to be a bit harsh on him, and I actually think he was one of the better fighters at 154, but in theory, he was a paper champion, because he didn't even win the title off the champion. And he's moved up again, and he's fighting against a vacant title, not even fighting it against the champion.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's like I said to you before, albeit no one can account for a champion vacating, but you've got to earn your shot. Just like I said with Korobov and Billy Joe Saunders, they will have earned fighting for that vacant title, so it gives it a bit more gravitas. Just as Andrade would have been, I think, was he number one, contender when he fought for his WBO light middleweight title. It gives you a gravitas. Fine. Ideally, you'd like to take it and rip it off the hands of the champion. That's the best way to win a world title. But, like I said, you can't account for what our champion's going to do. So you've got to take the next best step. Well, I've earned this shot anyway. So therefore, I've earned winning that title. Andrade did that with his first title win, but in this, it's far from it,
Exactly. He's walking into a title shot he doesn't deserve. We can agree that against for a vacant title. So unless he goes on and faces the best of the best at middleweight back to back, I won't really respect him as a true middleweight champion.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if he goes and beats Korobov, then they'll go, right, brilliant, okay, well, he's WBO champion. If you beat at middleweight Korobov, alright, anyone else? No.
Exactly.
Right, well, alright then, I'll shut up.
Yeah, well, tell us what you think about this one, guys. We're going to leave it there. Like I said, Billy Joe Saunders, we're not saying he's the greatest fighter in the world. He might not even be Korobov, but what we're saying is he deserves his shot. He's number 2. Unless the rankings mean shit. And we may as well let any motherfucker just go in there and fight for the world title. Straight away. Shouldn't we? I mean, who knows? Tell me what you think, guys. Tell me what you think.